fan of A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, you're going to want to watch this video. I'm going to tell you 15 things that you probably didn't know about the book, the author, and her writing process. One thing I like to do that adds so much to my reading life is to go beyond just reading and reviewing the book and then moving on to the next. When a book really intrigues me, I like to look into the background of it. So a few years ago, over on my blog, mindjoggle.com, I started a little series that I called The Story of the Story, where I share some of the interesting little facts that I learned. Kind of a behind the music series, but with books. So if you're a fan of A Little Life, or even if you're not, because I think this is probably one of the most divisive books around, I think you'll find this video really interesting. If you read A Little Life and had strong feelings about it, please share them in the comments. To quickly summarize, A Little Life is a book about 4 men who are friends and living in New York. Their names are JB, Willem, Malcolm, and Jude. And they're all young and struggling, but not really in any way that seems unusual, at least at first. The book focuses on one character at a time until that focus finally lands on Jude. It's then that you realize that this story is not really what you expected. So despite Jude's closeness with his friends, his past is mysterious. He has this limp that they only know happened in a car accident. He also has no family, and he never talks about his childhood. Over the years, we get a more complete picture of Jude and his backstory and all of the ways that he suffered in the past and all of the ways that he's still suffering now. So a note on my research: I find these facts by reading articles and interviews, watching videos, and looking into kind of other materials related to the book, especially if there's some kind of history. I go down a whole lot of rabbit holes to pull out a lot of quick and little interesting facts to share, but I also want to give journalists and other sources the credit that they're due. So some of my sources are linked below, and all of them are in the full blog post, and I hope you'll check them out. Anyway, let's get into the 15 things you didn't know about A Little Life. Number 1, the eternal present day. So did you notice this as you read? In the book, events, public figures, and even specific places that would allow a reader to place the characters in a particular time they're never mentioned in this novel. So this puts the characters in what Hanya Yanagihara calls an eternal present day. I have to confess that I really didn't notice this. I think I assumed the early years of the book were maybe set in the 90s, but the author shares why this is significant in my number 2, the immersion in Jude's world. The eternal present day affects the reader's experience of the book. And Yanagihara says of this, quote, "You are in Jude's world with Jude, and there's no escaping it. There should be a sort of out of time, out of place quality that echoes Jude's childhood in the motel rooms, a sense that the world and its events have no effect, good or ill, on the relentlessness of your daily present tense experience." Number 3, the photo inspiration. Hanya Yanagihara based the story on about 20 photos and works of art she had actually collected on Pinterest. Now, I haven't found this full collection of photos, but some of the themes in them include sickness and loneliness, male friendships, and the bleak anonymity of motel rooms in America, which, if you've read the book, you know is a large part of Jude's story. Number 4, the too muchness of the book. So Yanagihara's editor asked her to tone down the graphic descriptions of the brutal abuses in the book, but she actually refused. This is probably the biggest point of contention for readers who did not like the book, because for a lot of readers, it simply verges on torture porn. But this is what she says about this aspect of the novel. "I wanted there to be something too much about the violence in the book, but I also wanted there to be an exaggeration of everything. An exaggeration of love, of empathy, of pity, of horror." Number 5, the foils to Jude. One of the striking things about the novel is how little of the focus is on Jude in the first part, and then he becomes the central character. And I admit it took me a bit to kind of settle into this, because I kept wanting to shift back to the other characters. I didn't really understand the direction it was taking, but this was deliberate. Yanagihara wanted to create a point of comparison between the 3 other men and Jude. She says it was, quote, "a study of their normalcy, a foil to the strangeness of Jude's own life." Number 6, the traumas that can't be repaired. One of Yanagihara's goals in writing A Little Life was to explore the story of someone who never gets better and who experiences trauma that they can never come back from. She says that this is in part a pushback against the stories of redemption and happily ever afters that are so common in Western culture. Number 7, the unique freedoms of friendship. Hanya Yanagihara also wanted to explore the unique ways that friendship allows people to define it in the way that works for the people within the relationship. And this is a unique thing to friendship. She says, when you're a spouse, a parent, an employee, a citizen, you live by certain rules. Some of them dictated by law, others by social expectations. But friendship is the one relationship available to us in which the laws and limits are defined only by the participants. Number 8, the marketing. Now, Hanya Yanagihara is not on most social media, but she was involved in setting up an Instagram feed dedicated to A Little Life, as well as creating some related merchandise that appears there. Now, the feed continues to be populated with photos and art from fans, and I have to say that I found more A Little Life inspired fan art than I have with any other modern book that I've read. Number 9, the homage to child-free unmarried lives. Yanagihara says, part of this book is an homage to the way my friends and I live. Lives without children, without marriage, lives you rarely see depicted in popular art, unless as a punchline or a tragedy. Lives not considered by many to be full, legitimate adulthood. Number 10, the title. The title is meant to shapeshift as the reader moves deeper into the shadow of this book, and it's indeed alluded to in different ways. But really, I meant it literally. We have such small lives, all of us, and this is the story of one of those lives. That's a quote, again, from Hanya Yanagihara. Number 11, the cover. You know you've wondered about that cover. Now, the cover photo is from a series of photos taken in the 1960s by a photographer named Peter Hujar. The photo is titled Orgasmic Man. Yanagihara fought to use the photo on the cover because of the ambiguity of whether the man is in pleasure or pain. She wanted to use it because it gives the viewer a sense that they may be seeing someone at their most vulnerable, just as we see Jude throughout the book. Number 12, the fairy tale elements. Yanagihara says that although the novel is realistic, there are also fairy tale elements to it, and we see these in the major professional success of the characters, the extreme over-the-top darkness that permeates Jude's life, the absence of parents, and again, the absence of time. She says that it's part of the reader's responsibility to just surrender to some of those more fantastical elements. She says it's people who read it as this straight, realistic fiction who are the ones that have trouble with the fairy tale elements. Number 13, the other novels. Prior to writing A Little Life, Yanagihara's only other novel was called The People in the Trees. After writing A Little Life, she said she may not write anything again because it was such an immersive writing experience, and she doesn't want to write another novel if she doesn't feel that she has anything urgent to say. We know that she did write again. Her latest novel, To Paradise, was published in February of this year. Now, I have to confess, I tried this book on audio and I did not finish it. However, I'm still curious about it because I loved A Little Life so much, and I might give it another shot. So let me know in the comments, please, if you've read it and what you thought of that book and if it's worth reading. Number 14, the time to write. The People in the Trees took Hanya Yanagihara 18 years to write. A Little Life took 18 months. And finally, number 15, the writing process and work. Hanya Yanagihara has always worked at least a 4-day week while writing. While writing A Little Life, she wrote for about 4 hours per night on her work days and 6 hours per day on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, I've got a few bonus facts for you in addition to the 15 I've shared here. I noticed that a lot of people were wondering if there was ever going to be a screen adaptation of A Little Life. So a few years back, I think it was 2015, 2016, there were several articles about it being adapted as a limited TV series. There was really nothing happening for a while, but Yanagihara said that several networks have actually rejected scripts, and some even requested that it get a makeover to be more like Sex and the City. I think we can all agree that would be just a disaster for this story that means so much to so many people. And thankfully, Yanagihara is committed to only making a screen adaptation that's true to the themes and the tone of the book. So as a consolation, and it's only really a consolation because fewer people can see it, but there is a stage production that is supposed to be wonderful. It premiered in Amsterdam in 2018 and will soon be headed to Edinburgh, New York. So if you're in those areas, definitely check it out. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed these 15 plus facts you may not have known about A Little Life. I'll have more of these story of the story videos to come. So please subscribe to my channel and also let me know if you have any requests for books that I should cover in this series. So thanks again for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.